Oh, no. Oh, my God. I have a problem. You see these beacons here? I only have like 10 of these things. That means every time I want to mine quickly, jump higher, run faster, resist damage, hit harder, regen health faster, I have to disassemble this entire pyramid, beacon included, and move it somewhere else, which, well, it's not very fun. This leaves me with two options. One, deal with it. That's not happening. Or two, building the fastest wither skeleton farm hardcore Minecraft has ever seen and will literally never see again, with several asterisks. But we'll get to those. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start back at the beginning with the version of myself that just obtained a shulker box of every single piece of netherite gear. Hello there. As you can see behind me, I've just obtained a shulker box of every single piece of netherite gear. But what I don't have yet is a shulker box of beacons. Hey! Of course, in order to obtain a shulker box of beacons, I need to make the beacons, which means I'm going to need to kill wither skeletons, which means I'm going to need, like, several 100,000 of these pistons and a beautiful place to make a wither skeleton farm like the nether here. Unfortunately, because a lot of my builds are above the nether fortress, I sadly must remove some of this stuff. You know, of all of the locations wither skeletons could spawn in, below my things was really inconvenient. Getting rid of these rails isn't too bad because they're actually useless. This one, this one hurts a bit. No one should have to destroy a statue of their own skin. The inhumanity. Destroying the Pether Nordal is honestly what hurts the most. I don't want to do it. You can't make me. Why? Well, everything that needed to be removed is gone. And as you can see in the background, I've laid out a rough outline for the area I have to clear out. It went a little something like, don't mind me, I'm just laying down a rough outline for the area I have to clear out. Sadly, the bedrock is blocking access to all of the netherrack and basalt, etc. that I have to remove, so it's going to be time to bring up those pesky pistons again. I'm gonna need, like, pistons, as they're the only way to get through this stuff. Oh, also, in case you're a new viewer and unaware, this is all part of a larger project I have where I'm... Enough of that nonsense. I have to remove some things to make room for the first, I guess, all of the 5 bedrock breakers. Well, let me actually do some quick back of the envelope math here. This is an 11 chunk square, so 16 blocks per chunk makes this an 11 by 16 by 11 by 16 square, which is 30,976 blocks per layer, and having 5 layers makes it about 150,000 pistons for this whole thing. So a little less than the several 100,000 of these pistons I guessed earlier, but you know, it's still a lot. For now, I'll give you a little montage of the briefest moment of what it's like to be me working on a project this big. Yeah, it's not at all difficult, but it's incredibly time-consuming. So I don't have to, like, go place it. Oh, shit. Despite this being a very fast bedrock breaker, it is a very, very slow machine. So I don't need to place all of these pistons before actually turning it on. This should be well more than enough to get it all started, and I can, of course, just keep running around, placing them as the machine is moving along, because I very easily outpace this thing. And let's see. Look at it go. It's working beautifully on the first try. You know, things usually don't go this smoothly for me. Oh? What? Well, it broke. So, this is usually how smoothly things go for me. I don't know how much joy I get from rebuilding things that I accidentally broke, but, it's incredibly low. And... nice. it is returning properly without breaking. So ideally, this runs smoothly from beginning to end, and I can show you in one nice, beautiful time lapse destroying this top layer. So here it is. If I had to describe the emotion that I'm feeling right now, I'd say it's probably frustration. All right, I've rebuilt everything, so let's hope this time around it doesn't break. It didn't break, and I am incredibly thankful for that. Now I just have to destroy what's left of the building here. Isn't it looking beautiful? With that bit cleaned up, I can start building this entire piston platform, which should look like this when it's done. But of course, I still need the bedrock breakers. The bedrock breakers are completed, and this time I'm going to run 4 of them in parallel, so it doesn't take nearly as much of my limited existence on this planet. I know you don't know this, but let's just say the last layer took a very, very long time, and I really don't want to go through that again. And the second layer is gone. I'm not going to spend that much time focusing on the bedrock breaking, just so you know. Because honestly, between you and me, it isn't the cool or important part of this project. Okay, I mean, it's a little cool. It's just a really tedious first step that needs to get done. I will, of course, indulge you with some time lapses of the machines in progress, but we have a lot to go over today, and I don't want to waste too much of your time by accurately portraying how long it'll take for me to place the remaining 100,000 pistons. I always start with aligning the left side of the bedrock breaker, and then of course the right side after the left side. We can't forget the labor of love that is placing the 30,000 pistons. And with the bedrock breakers built, I will now bestow upon you, dear audience member, a hopefully very lovely time lapse. Enjoy. The reason why the time-lapse ended so abruptly is because Muffin, the cutest cat, stepped on the power button. Just want to show you that compared to the perimeter for the Y0 gold farm, this one is a lot bigger. Thankfully, I'm only removing the top bedrock this time and not the bottom as well. That'd be awful. 3 layers down already, which is roughly 90,000 bedrock broken, and I suppose we must follow it up by removing the remaining 60,000-ish. So enjoy the time lapse. You may be wondering why I'm holding onto a furnace here, and that is because of wither skeletons spawning. Normally, they can spawn within the Nether Fortress hallways and crossroads on any solid block, but I want them to spawn outside of that, but still in the bounding box of the fortress where they can only spawn on nether bricks. Which, ultimately, this boils down to make furnace array, cook netherrack. Here looks like a lovely place to begin. We gotta take everything out of the furnaces. These would be the aforementioned furnaces. The furnaces, of course, require fuel, and of course, a way to get the netherrack inside them. Using hopper minecarts saves me from making 2 more hopper lines, adding on a small bulk input for the netherrack, and we've ended up with a very simple furnace array. Ideally, this thing runs the entire time I'm digging the trenches out, so that way, I don't need to AFK just for nether bricks. Though before I get to that step, I'm going to smooth the top of this area because it is a bit rough on the eyes. And to do that, you can watch me mine out this whole layer in first person in real time. Ah, just kidding. I forgot to mention this earlier, but the fuel for the furnace array is going to be all the lava down here. This way, I won't need to leave the nether, and the smelting process is contained to this one dimension. Plus, the lava has to go away eventually. These trenches need to go all the way down to bedrock on all sides of this perimeter, and it's going to take a lot of time and effort. So, I think you know what that means. I got you so good. There's no time lapse yet. It's a little detour to my villager trading hall. I'm going to need quite a lot of tools for this project, as I'm really not a big fan of using and repairing the same netherite tools over and over again. I actually find it quite boring. So instead, I'll be enchanting and breaking a lot of diamond tools. It's fun, trust me. Digging out these trenches is sometimes a bit stressful. Like, I'm getting this nagging feeling that this isn't the safest place to be. I sadly have to move one of my beacons down here because basalt is dumb, and it can't be insta-mined with just efficiency 5, which I completely forgot about. I also need to have haste. Very lame basalt, very lame. Oh, like a hot butter through knife. Despite the recent massive uptick in block breaking efficiency that has graciously befallen me, I have a suspicion this is still gonna take a while to get to the bottom. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that the furnace array is doing its job very well. Of course, it still needs to be refueled every now and then, and very unfortunately, that seems to be my job as well. I swear I have to do everything around here. Some detours are inevitable, especially when mining so very many blocks. The netherrack side was so much easier than this basalt corner area. Here. Follow me. I'll show you why this section is such a pain. You see all these little lava pools? They are terrible to get rid of. It's an absolute nightmare. Why a lava sponge doesn't exist, I have no idea. Another sad part of this project is getting rid of the old wither skeleton farm. ENX04 did an amazing job designing this, but sadly, I must move on to greener pastures. Though I really don't think the same can be said for the iron golem. I mean, just look at him. Endless suffering. Sad. But not nearly as sad as I am right now. I've realized that making all 4 of the trenches 3 wide is actually not good enough. I mean, well, for 2 of them it is. But for the other 2, well, let's just say they need to be 15 blocks wide. Yeah, I'm just gonna line myself up here, and boom, it's all done. Well, only this side is done, sadly. But look at how massive that area is. Wild. Not as wild as having to do the whole thing twice. Hopefully I've lined myself up. Boom, look, it's all gone. For you, that was instantaneous. And for me, that took about 2 days of my real human life. Yep. The overview on the map looks a bit insane. The trenches take up a lot more space than I thought they would. I feel like I'm in the Maze Runner. Look at these things. Running mazes. That's what I'm doing here. Huh. I jumped over that one. Oh, jumped over that one as well. The main issue I'm wrestling with right now, if we take a peek at the F3 screen, is that I am on Y32. and this trench needs to go down to Y5. The reason I stopped at Y32, as some of you viewers rightly know, is that this is lava lake height, and it's definitely best to drain out the lava before trying to shave off these last remaining layers. This is what I'm thinking is gonna be the very worst part. I hate lava removal. The only saving grace here when filling in all this lava is that I just got 10 million gravel in the last episode, and it's very much coming in handy right now. Though this feels impossibly deep. Give me a moment. Soul save! Thankfully, nothing that couldn't be solved with a few potions of fire resistance. I've ran out of pickaxes again, but I mean, I'm almost done, so it's okay. Just a teeny bit more to go. As you can see, I sense victory is on the horizon. Oh, I found it. Do you know what this is? The significance of this? Why, it's the very last block that needs to be removed from the trenches. It's so beautiful. Yoink. With all of that absolute nonsense finished, let's get out of here. Oh, overshot it. Yes, no. Alright. I'm burning. Don't try to be cool, kids. Looking through all of the stats, I've mined almost 1 million netherrack, and most importantly, I've broken just under 700 diamond pickaxes, so my goal of breaking 1,000 inches ever closer. Though for shovels, I'm quite a long ways away still. Oh well, I'm just ecstatic to be done digging by hand. Is what I would say if that were even remotely true, but sadly I have miscalculated once again. Measure twice, cut once is clearly not my forte. I now have to manually remove 2 more rows of bedrock and everything below it so I can properly fit in this world eater. Should only take a moment. For you. Now that the trenches are truly complete, I can build the world eater and finally make room for the farm. I didn't design this thing, so no explanations from me here. Just enjoy watching it work its beautiful magic. After all of that, you'd probably think, oh, he's completely done with mining things. Well, you'd be wrong, but not by much. I have these 2 little strips on both sides to dig out, and a little bit of lava left to remove. I would love to just ignore this bit, but I need it removed or this place is not spawn-proof. Love being lit on fire. It's so fun. I did make a schematic to help me remove all the extra little blocks hidden in the bedrock, but oh, it is so trippy looking at this. I'm getting a little nauseous. At 2.5 hours, that took a bit longer than I thought it would. But hey, now I have complete control over all hostile mob spawning within these chunks. Very cool. I need to place in the schematic, but my goodness, this thing is insane. Just look at it. From this distance, it doesn't seem like much, But when we get under the hood, you'll see that it needs 26,000 gray stained glass and 8,000 white stained glass. The rest of this is all pretty trivial to get, and I believe I have enough nether bricks from digging out the trenches already. But, oh, 34,000 glass? Seems like a bit much, doesn't it? Well, I probably shouldn't waste any time sticking around here, so it looks like I'm off to smelt some of the 10 million sand I got in the last episode into 34,000 glass. Plus, I'll grab the other stuff that I need. I still haven't upgraded my furnace array to something more convenient, and that's because I'm still waiting for the cart yeeting mechanics that are added. Well, I don't know specifically. It's sometime after version 1.18. I'm just gonna AFK in this little glass box while I wait for the glass to finish smelting. It'll take I don't know exactly how long, but like a really long time. Essentially, I'm just standing here until those furnaces turn off. As you can see behind me, all of those furnaces have turned off. Hopefully this means that the glass is all smelted and not that I've run out of fuel. I gotta pack it all into shulkers, and then it'll be time to dye it all. Yes! I love already having what I need. All of my extra bone meal is located in the bone meal farm. I mean, stating that seems pretty obvious. I'll just grab enough to make sure that I don't have to come back here. Looking at all of the mushrooms... Okay. I would say looking at all the mushrooms loaded never gets old, but that thing really just comes out of nowhere. Oh my goodness. This is gonna take a little while. Maybe it'll be a time lapse. Maybe it'll just be a jump train. And it's finished. Well, at least the floor is, which is... I mean, it's a good portion of the total blocks, but a very small portion of the actual useful stuff going on here. This just makes it so I can run around on flat ground going backwards, and I don't have to try to parkour all around here. But all the way over here, we have all of the materials we will need for this entire build. And, well, that's not entirely true. There's something that we still need to get for this, which... maybe you can guess what it is. That'd be, I don't know, maybe shocking. Depends on how I edit this video. Maybe it won't be shocking at all. Maybe it will be very, very shocking. Who knows? But there is still something else that I need to get. But that's just something that's going in the... well, there's two... okay, never mind. This is all of the solid materials going into the farm. Well, that's also not true. There's so many things. There's so many things that I still need to get. And it looks like I don't have enough bread for this. Sadly, I think I need to just go buy some more bread from villagers, which means I need to pause this recording right here and then come back and resume it, and hopefully it all works out lovely. Don't fall into the trap of believing that this is the farm. This is only the easy part of the farm. The hard part comes next. It's not this. It's this layer. All of this black glass on this layer needs to actually be floating with the roses, which means I definitely made too much glass. Anyways, how are we going to get the roses to float? Well, I'll show you. By using this crazy little machine here. This is an update suppressor, which has been patched out of the game, but I am, of course, still on version 1.18.2, where this exploit still works and is the sole reason why I haven't updated my hardcore world yet, because it's just so dang cool and useful that I don't want to get rid of it just yet. How does it work? Well, I'll link a video explaining it for more technical amongst you, but for everyone else, it's kind of just there's so many rails being updated that the game doesn't work properly for a moment, and in that moment we can do some crazy things. And despite planning all of this a lot in advance, I still kind of forgot that I was needing to do this. So I have to remove all of the redstone blocks here temporarily, or they'll just break the whole thing. But I said it's a lot of rails. I mean, it's a lot of rails. I've built the first arm of the update suppressor, and I'll show you how it works a little bit before we get to building the rest of this. Oh, okay. Machine is on. As you can see, this rail is fully budded. And when we set down a wither rose, it buds again. Now, how is this useful? How is having wither roses on dirt useful? Well, let me show you. Oh, I don't have any more dirt on me. Let me show you by going and grabbing some dirt. All right, so if we set the dirt down, that gets update suppressed. And if we set down our wither rose here, nothing happens. But the real magic is when we do this. And now we have a oh, it still afflicts me with the wither effect. But now we have a floating, magical, wonderful little glitchy wither rose. If we provide it with an update by, say, putting literally any block next to it, it'll break. And that's really the entirety of how this thing works. But I have the issue of I only have 10 wither roses, so I'm gonna need to use this machine to get a little more, because I don't really feel like dealing with a wither and a bunch of snowmen in the end and then waiting around. I kind of just want to build this today. This is the worst stage of this entire project. Actually update suppressing all of the wither roses in place, and if I mess up at any point, they will all break and fall to the ground, and I'll have to do it all over again. So let's hope that doesn't happen, you know? Let's hope it all goes perfectly the first time. Place these all down. Looks good. Oh, and now they're floating. I need to put the surrounding blocks in next. That took so long, and I'm gonna have to do this 56 more times. Oh, I've already managed to encounter my first mistake on row 2. It's right here. There's just one missing wither rose, which means literally anything could spawn in this spot. And that's really bad. Oh god, this one, and unfortunately, did the whole row. Okay, we're doing it again. I've done it. It's all done. That's about 4,000 wither roses placed down. It is absolutely glorious. Look at those bad boys. Oh, just dangling there. Anyways, there's still a lot left to do in this project. A lot, like removing the rest of the update suppressor, which probably already happened in the time-lapse or is going to happen in a time-lapse. I don't really know. But I'm going to be done working for today, and then tomorrow I will come back and ideally build the rest of the farm and make it fully operational. And we've finally moved all of the materials up here, which took me, I don't know, like 45 minutes. All of the death flowers in place. I just need to finish up this thing, which I might have said at the end of the last little clip. But, I mean, it's still true. I gotta finish this up. Gotta make the mob conveyor up here. And the cart dispensers back here. There are so very many of them. And that is the farm. Holy moly. Building this was easy. Building this was the easy part. The hard part is what's going on this side in those shulker box unloaders. You know, in this one over here, we just need like, I don't know, like 50,000 minecarts or something stupid. But that's easy. Those are just made out of iron. Over here, it's gonna get so bad. It's gonna get absolutely gruesome. So let's do it. I think that by far one of the absolute strangest things about this world that I have is that I still don't have a sugarcane farm. Unfortunately, I have left myself just a terrible, terrible, awful mess up here, so I'm going to quickly organize and clean up all of this, and we'll reconvene, probably working on that down there, but maybe it'll be something else. I don't know. I get distracted all the time. I don't know why I don't bother to just organize things from the beginning, because one, that looks really clean, and two, it really didn't take that much effort. Why didn't I bother doing this in the first place? I have no idea. Okay, so before I get to the crazy shulker box loaders on the other side, I need to do the minecart unloaders on this side, which will seem like it's really insane, but they are the more convenient of the two sides to this farm, because really all I'm doing up here is crafting iron blocks into tons of minecarts and then slowly loading them into shulkers to fill the minecart unloaders, which I need to do for hundreds of shulker boxes. Hundreds. I've run out of iron blocks, but ideally there's a lot more in my farm at spawn, since it should have been running this entire time. Well, this is almost completely full again. I gotta turn it all into blocks, though. Woohoo! So, I ended up crafting 51 shulker boxes of iron blocks with just under 800,000 iron ingots. So I don't know how to say this other than we should be good for a little while. And that still doesn't change the fact that this is going to take me a very, very long time. I think that took me like 45 minutes, maybe an hour, of just filling in all these things. Maybe less than that, but it was so boring, it just felt like a long time. But these minecarts are now filled in all of those droppers, all of those hoppers on the left half, which means I get the amazing privilege of doing it all a second time. I feel no joy in doing this. And that's it. This side has all of the minecarts that it needs. We don't talk about this side over here because that's gonna give me nightmares. And I haven't even gotten around to it yet. But the minecarts are all in. So we should be able to just test run it with the minecarts to see that it in fact does all work. So this could go poorly, but hopefully it doesn't. Let's see. Show me the minecarts, baby. Ooh. It's so satisfying. The real question is, do we end up with concentrated mob spawning if I drop this down to 5 chunks? Seemingly no. And I think I know the answer for why this is not going well. Shulker farm spawns so many shulkers that they actually do take up space in the lazy chunks around this farm when I drop it down to a render distance of 5. All of these guys. And they're in very large stacks. As you can see, it's not just one per section. There's quite a lot of them. For the time being, as many of these as we can get rid of, the best. Are complete. Oh, come on, man. I just wanted to talk to camera. All of the shulkers have been removed from over here, which, I don't know if this is a good way of showcasing it, but as you can see, They are within the area that would be the lazy chunks around the farm. So these were getting loaded the whole time, which is why we couldn't actually run the farm. But now, if we go back down there, if that makes sense to you, congrats. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. But now we can come all the way down here and probably run the farm. If I drop it down to a render distance of 5, only the perimeter should be loaded in, which is why we didn't have to make a bigger one. And, oh, look at them. They're only wither skeletons. There's so many of them as well. Yo. We should be able to run this and have it work decently well without this magic line being functional, which we haven't gotten around to. In order for this magic line to even be useful, I need to fill the item sorters down here with the sorted items. So in order to do that, I kind of need to just run the farm a little bit. So come down here, set our periodic attack on, and then we can watch the magic. Oh man, look at him go. I really shouldn't have to run this for very long to get all of the items I need to put in the sorters. I suppose sorting the skulls is most important. Coal might be the most useful thing I get from this farm. Saving some bones shouldn't hurt either. It's kind of just a really cool farm to watch run. The waves of minecarts are just so satisfying. You don't even need the wither skeletons in them. And I know that it may seem like a lot of items are being generated right now, but here is the real hang up. Look at how painfully slow the wither skeleton skull rate is. This is roughly 25% of the rate that we should be getting. But that's because we still don't have that magic line working. And yes, I know I've spoken about it before, but it is finally time for that part of the show. Hopefully you all caught what I was growing in that last time lapse, because big reveal time, I'm building a pumpkin farm. That last magic part of the wither skeleton farm, the thing that holds the drop rates back by so much, is 250,000 carved pumpkins. Now let me tell you, carved pumpkins, not that hard to get. But 250,000 carved pumpkins, well, let's just say that it's a bit more complicated. Oh my god, I have not seen this man in ages. And he's still selling absolute... Wait, let me check. Absolute garbage. What is he doing up here? Sorry, bud. You gotta go. You gotta go. Get. He was having a hard time at work. He jumped. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. This part, don't know why, scariest thing so far. I didn't bone meal them before putting these on, because if something grew, then this stock would not change, and then it would just be broken. So then I'd have to crawl through and cut things down, and that is somehow less enjoyable. This man right here is why I choose to live in the Nether. Also, wait, do we have one llama? We're in a wacky room down here where I am going to make the pumpkin carving machine. So I'll just cut myself off at some point in the middle. Okay, well, maybe if I ignore him, he'll burn up in the daylight eventually. Oh, look at me go. Swinging those arms. This system is absolutely flawless. Okay, so I've found one really critical and fundamental flaw with this setup. It's not big enough. As you can see behind me, I've had to double the height of this tower. Before, this was producing pumpkins at about half of hopper speed, which would cause the AFK setup to break when it ran out of pumpkins. But now it's a bit over hopper speed, meaning I should be able to AFK this farm indefinitely without the setup ever breaking. With hopper speed being 9,000 items per hour, and with me needing 250,000 carved pumpkins, I'm gonna have to AFK this for about an entire day. Look at him go. God, he works more diligently than I ever could. About a day later, and by the looks of pumpkins all over the ground, I have ran out of shears, which means I don't have to do this part anymore. We have one double chest of shulker boxes of carved pumpkins. We have a hopper of shulker boxes of carved pumpkins. We have a double chest of shulkers of carved pumpkins. We got another hopper of shulker boxes of carved pumpkins, and we got a little bit more than that. Ultimately, these like 2.5 double chests worth of carved pumpkins need to be moved to the nether, and I am going to do that now. And they're all in the nether now. I still haven't put them in the farm, but like I did move them over here, and it did take me quite a while. And the next step, of course, I'll take them out of here and put them in the farm. The first part of moving all of these pumpkins in is, of course, taking them out of shulker boxes and putting them in these hoppers and dispensers. And, one shulker box of carved pumpkins really doesn't last very long. And I think there's 57 rows. I probably said earlier, I don't remember. It's a lot. Thankfully, I took the time to redesign this little carved pumpkin distribution system, so that way I can fill this with mostly shears, which in this sense are dummy items. I had to make this little modification of an observer line, which I'll show you. Makes it so it just keeps sending pulses until it correctly chooses the shulker box. And then we have our shulker box from the first slot here put into the dispenser, and then the chest going back and forth across the top will unload another shulker box into this. And then when it is currently in use, the piston pulls the observer back down so it doesn't just continuously fire. That is essentially how this little circuit works. And it saves us, yeah, it saves us 180,000 carved pumpkins. Just by having this click a couple of times and misfire. Absolute cost savings right here. This is bringing inflation down. Of course, the final place to put the carved pumpkins is down in the item filters. That way, once we use them and get them, we can put them back into circulation and use them again instead of just farming, you know, hundreds of thousands of more of them. I'm returning to the pumpkin farm because when I tried to run the farm, well, I didn't have my sword on me. And I suspect it may be here with all the rest of the things that I will eventually need to clean up. So, yep, sword and shovel. Beautiful. Thanks, team. And I'm sure this will be the last we're seeing this farm today, and probably for a very long time. I don't really see myself needing pumpkins for anything. Maybe I'll come back one day and make an entire cityscape of giant towers of Minecraft farms, but I doubt it because they're pretty worthless. So we'll probably never, ever see this ever again. Yeah. So I am finally completely done with this project. Adding in the carved pumpkins helps remove 55% of the wither skeletons from the mob camp after they dismount from the minecarts, which drastically increases the efficiency of the farm and the rate I can get wither skeletons from a paltry 20 per minute to a scrumptious 60 per minute. Or, in normal wither skeleton farm terms, 3,600 per hour. This means I not only have the fastest gold farm in hardcore Minecraft, but I now also have the fastest wither skeleton skull farm and the fastest coal farm in hardcore Minecraft. And potentially the fastest bone meal, and bone block farm, but I didn't care to check. I will, of course, need to still turn 3 shulker boxes of skulls into a shulker box of beacons, but because this video is already over 40 minutes long, I'll have to save that for a future episode. If you made it this far, though, you clearly like the video, so subscribe, turn on the bell notifications, like the video, leave a comment. I do read them all. Thank you for the generous watch time that turns into the delicious, delicious ad revenue that keeps me from starving to death. death, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. I started this at 9 in the morning. It has been 9.5 hours, and we're almost done. Isn't that crazy? I would highly recommend that that you don't, if you do this, which I mean, I recommend you don't do this. If you do this though, don't do it in one sitting. Like, carpal tunnel's not that fun. I promise.